Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Facebook Live session. We'll be live today with the University of Dundee and the Life Sciences program. Thank you very much for joining once again. We'll shortly be starting with Kirsty Fraser from the university as the international officer, and we also have Eve, who's a recent graduate. So I'll be passing you off to Kirsty for now. Speak.
Thanks, Mohammed, and thank you everyone for coming along today. So, as Mohammed said, I'm Kirsty. I work as an international officer at the University of Dundee, and I've got Eve, who's one of our fantastic student ambassadors, and she studied both undergraduate and postgraduate, but I'll let her introduce herself just quickly as well.
Hello everyone, I'm Eve. I'm a current senior student ambassador at the University of Dundee. I've done my undergraduate in biomedical sciences at the university and went on to doing my master's in human clinical embryology and assisted conception in the School of Medicine. Thank you.
Thanks, Eve. So if you do have any questions at any point today, please feel free to pop those in the chat and we will come to those after a sort of brief presentation and a little chat between myself and Eve. So I'm going to run through a little bit about Dundee and the university and student life, and then speak more specifically about the School of Life Sciences and the courses that Eve has studied as well. So just to start off, you might be asking yourself, where is Dundee? Where's the university? So we are in Scotland on the east coast, about an hour away from Edinburgh, which I'm sure you've all heard of. Dundee is fantastically located to travel to other parts of Scotland and the UK. So we have our own airport, train station and bus station, and you can get very easily to other parts of the country. We're approximately 6 hours away from London by train and an hour to Edinburgh and about an hour and a half to Glasgow. Dundee is a sort of medium to small size city. We have a population of approximately 150,000 people. So it's not a massive place and you'll never have to worry about getting lost or anything like that, but it really does have all the amenities that you could possibly need to have a great studying experience with us. The university itself has over 16,000 students with a very high international population as well. And we do have a wonderful city-based campus, which means that all your studying facilities are right in the heart of the city centre, just 5 minutes walk from the bus station, train station, and everything like that. And the campus itself is very compact. So quite a big campus, about 10 minutes walk to either side. But in this campus, you can find all the facilities you could possibly need, from your lecture spaces to accommodation, the library, and lots of student support facilities and more enjoyable things like the Students' Union and cafes, for example. A little bit about our rankings as well. So we have a 5-star rating awarded by QS for our teaching, employability, internationalization, facilities, and overall, which is really fantastic. And we are one of the world's top 200 institutions for graduate employment rate. And that was also QS who voted us that. So some great things about Dundee outside of those rankings are our safety ratings as well, and the cost of living, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So something else you probably will be wondering is our fees. And our fees can change every year, but they never rise more than 3% every year. For the 2023 intake, which we're now closed for September, but we do still have courses open for January 2023. And the fees for those are currently set at undergraduate classroom-based courses are at £19,500 per year of study. And our undergraduate more practical and lab-based courses are £23,650. And then our master's, our postgraduate taught courses start from £19,900 and then vary in price depending on which sort of specialisms you are studying. So there are some exemptions to this for more specialist courses such as medicine and dentistry, but they do typically sit around the marks that I've just set out. And at Dundee, we do offer payment plans as well, so you can split your tuition across several months. It's usually 7 instalments, which is great as well. And of course, it's always good to know that there are scholarships and other things that can help you out with your tuition. And scholarships are something we can definitely help you with at Dundee. Just a couple of examples. We have our Global Excellence Scholarship, and this is based on academic excellence. So typically is, just using A-levels as an example, typically 3 Bs at A-level would see you eligible for our Global Excellence Scholarship. And this is £6,000 per year off of your tuition fee, so per year of study as well. So 1 year for your postgraduate and then per year for undergraduate. We also offer Global Citizenship Scholarship, and this is £5,000. And then we offer more regional specific and subject specific scholarships as well. So I would really recommend checking out our website, and hopefully there can be a link posted on this page as well, and you can look at our scholarships based on your home country and find out what you would be eligible for based on where you're from. Just linking on to that's our cost of living as well. So I'm going to bring Eve in a minute just to talk about it from a student perspective. But in 2021, Dundee was voted the most affordable city in the UK to be a student. That was Oxford Royale that ranked us as that. So that's some fantastic news, is that not only are you going to get a great educational experience, you're also going to be able to do it at an affordable level. So sort of just to put that into perspective, the average cost of private rent in Dundee is 44% less than that of Edinburgh and 25% less than the Scottish average, which is fantastic. You can go onto our website as well and have a look at what we typically anticipate you would need to study at Dundee per year. We roughly estimate it ranges from about £7,000 to £8,000 per academic year. Of course, that's based on your own individual lifestyle and the funds that you have available. But I'm going to pass on to Eve now as well and just ask her how she found affording things as a student and how she managed her budget and things like that.
Hi, Kirsty, thanks. So in general, it is quite affordable to live in Dundee as a student, even if you don't have a part-time job, I presume. If you get some support from your family or scholarships, that's quite a good way to start off. But in general, it is quite affordable. So average rents can be between £250 to maximum £500 a month, and that's something you'd find in a very high-end place or a very, very new flat. But most accommodation and renting is quite within that range. It varies if you stay with other people like flatmates or if you stay by yourself. So I currently live by myself, so I pay slightly on the higher end, but that's because I live by myself. In terms of utility bills as well, that is part of it. You tend to spend a lot less and it costs less to live in Dundee. We don't pay things like taxes because we are students, so council tax, we don't count that in our utility bills. Things like Wi-Fi, everything is quite affordable. And then also in general, when you like to purchase things, so we have our city centre that's not far from the main campus, is everything within walking distance of 10 minutes maximum, and everything is quite reasonably priced, as well as shopping for food, as well as all within the affordable range, and anyone can make it, especially if you do have a part-time job, which is quite easy to get as a student. Dundee has a lot of student vacancies open to do any part-time work, such as in cafes, baristas, bartenders, retail. Even in our student union, we have a lot of spaces for students. You can make a good living and within the pay you get as a student during your part-time jobs. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Eve. That was really helpful. Also sort of linking on to the cost of living, being an international student, you'll be very interested in the accommodation that we have on offer. So we do have accommodation, like I mentioned before, right in the heart of campus. We have like 5 blocks of accommodation, I believe, 3 of those being on campus and 2 of those being slightly further away, one of them being closer to the hospital if you were interested in a medicine-based course, for example. Accommodation does vary depending on the number of flatmates you have and where the accommodation is, but it is very affordable, and I would highly recommend looking into the accommodation on our website. You can take virtual tours around each of the accommodation blocks, which is fantastic, and see where you would be living, which is great. And as I also mentioned, on campus, we have our Students' Union. So that is host to lots of different societies and things like that, and 2 cafes. It has a swimming pool, a nightclub, lots of fantastic things going on. And we have our Institute of Sport and Exercise, which has a fully kitted out gym, It has lots of sports halls, tennis courts, and just so much for you to get involved in. It really is fantastic. So plenty for you to do as a student. And I'm just going to ask Eve as well, what sort of things did you get involved in when you were a student in terms of societies and sports teams and things?
So the few things that I have gotten myself involved in is being a student ambassador. I used to work at a student union as customer safety, so that took some of my time. I wasn't participating in many societies, but I do know we have over 250 societies. Last year, I joined the African Caribbean Society, so you don't need to be a person who's African or Caribbean to be part of it. It's quite an open community and quite fun as well. So that's one of the societies I participated in. In my second year, I believe I've joined the Self-Defense Society for a bit. So it was quite interesting just to learn different techniques and ways that are slightly unconventional that you would think of when it comes to self-defense, which is very important. So I've done a bit of that, and I have used the Institute of Sport and Exercise a couple of times as well, which is quite good, centre of campus. And when I used to stay on university campus accommodation, I stayed right across from it. So it was always a lovely reminder to go and use the facilities, which is quite good. And yeah, so there's quite a lot of options for students to do. Doesn't have to just always be academia. Dundee's quite good in terms of trying to balance your personal life, your student life, and your academics life as well. So that's quite good.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Eve. And speaking of the academic things to get involved in, we have 8 schools, academic schools at Dundee, with hundreds of courses available across undergraduate, top postgraduate and research degrees as well. So just to run through those 8 schools and let you know about the types of course we have available. So we have our Duncan of Jordanston College of Art and Design for all our art-based courses, of which we have several different specialisms, which is fantastic. Our School of Business being one of our biggest schools, business is very popular, including at postgraduate, where we offer lots of January starts for those courses. Our School of Dentistry, which is very self-explanatory, and our School of Health Sciences, which covers nursing. So we offer child, adult and mental health nursing, and also very popular courses. We then have our new combined school, which is humanities, social sciences and law. And there are a lot of courses in there, so lots to unpack and definitely one to look at if that's sort of areas that you're interested in. Our School of Life Sciences, which I'm going to talk a lot more about in a little bit. Our School of Medicine, and then finally our School of Science and Engineering. So we really do have hundreds of courses and lots going on for you to have a look at and find the course that you're most interested in and seeing what we have available. And just more on that as well, we also have our International College of Dundee, which offers pre-masters and foundation courses that then on completion allow you direct entry into the University of Dundee. So this is actually the route that Eve took to join us at Dundee. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about her experience with that.
Yeah, so International College of Dundee started in 2017, which was actually the year I enrolled with the university. So I was considered the guinea pig cohort of the students. So I did not need it in particular to help with my pre-sessional English or anything like that. I speak English fluently, it's my first language. However, it did help me bridge any academic gaps and qualifications I had from my school. So growing up where I didn't go through schools that did things, let's say A-levels, IB, GCSEs, Nat 5, or courses that are more locally recognised within the UK and in Scotland. So I've had those gaps, not to say I wasn't unqualified to go to university, but it was more just the academic qualification. It's not exactly translated into university, so it'd be a bit harder. So I've decided to go through a foundation year route, which a lot of universities in the UK offer in general. So Dundee had one of those. And it would just, again, will help with your English as well. But what helped me the most for one of those modules was academic English, not just English. It actually helped me with things like referencing, how to write academic papers, everything like that. So it was quite useful, not just you need to learn English. So a lot of schools actually don't teach you how to write or reference or cite papers. So that was really good for me. other modules I would take were basic, like biology, chemistry, physics, but again, slightly on a different level, a bit more intense. The entire cohort was designed to give you as much information as possible in a slightly shorter time frame. So university term time is usually 2 semesters, so you have your autumn to winter and then your winter to spring. However, mine was 3 terms within the last semester, so it was quite more intense, and we got a few exams to prepare for. But I think it helped me really well into my second year of university, because when I completed it, I went into second year and I felt myself being more prepared than a few of my classmates. So again, as I mentioned, writing papers, referencing, even first year university, not a lot of lectures teach you, and they tell you to go off and do it on your own. So I think International College of Dundee was really good with that. It also helped instilled managing your time and working on these assignments and projects with your classmates. So avoiding things till the last minute. And even if your first 2 years of university in Scotland is not part of your degree classification, that does not mean you shouldn't work hard. And that's one of the main things International College of Dundee has helped me with. It was to remind me to obviously work hard, but also it was just a really good experience in general. Thank you.
That's great, Eve. Thanks so much. So yeah, as Eve mentioned, this international college is a fantastic pathway for international students. It does cover a lot of courses at Dundee as well. So we offer our sort of undergraduate, we call it IS1, IS2, and that can get you into level 2 and now even level 3 of one of our degrees at Dundee. So we offer this across art and design, business, computing, nursing, life and biomedical sciences, which is how Eve joined us, engineering, and law and social studies. And then we have pre-masters as well. So there is lots of options and lots of routes into Dundee, and really recommend checking those out. So just to sort of link on to the School of Life Sciences that we're going to talk about a lot more in depth just now, I'm going to just quickly run through some of the discoveries, scientific discoveries that we've had at Dundee, which help build the foundations for our fantastic School of Life Sciences. So just to name a couple of things that hopefully you've all heard of, one being aspirin. So that's something that was discovered in Dundee. Also cash machines or ATMs, so how you get your money out from the bank, and Grand Theft Auto, the video game, which I hope you've all heard of, another thing that was founded in Dundee. So you can really see the strong connections between life sciences and the city of Dundee. And now more about the courses. I'm going to start with undergraduate. Our School of Life Sciences offers 4-year honours degrees with 2 main streams being biological and biomedical. And then underneath that, there's a whole host of specialisms also available, which I'll run through later. So in level 1 and 2, they offer a mixture of compulsory and optional modules to help you discover your skills as a life scientist and see which areas you're most interested in. And those first 2 years will also help build up your lab and practical experience. And you can expect a varied study schedule of lectures, tutorials, lab work, and field work. So I'm going to let Eve come in there and tell you about her first 2 years on the biomedical sciences stream. How did you enjoy the lab work, for example, Eve?
So my first year was the International College of Dundee. So due to the nature of how it was structured, I had less lab work to do. But when I went into my second year with biomedical sciences, I was doing the lab modules just like every other life sciences student. So we would have labs twice a week, 3 hours a day. You would either be in the morning session or in the afternoon session, and there would be a Tuesday and a Thursday. And they were quite good because you would use different skills and different techniques you'd learn. So before any lab session, we would all be in a lecture, kind of like a briefing session, talking about what we will learn today, what we will do today, was expected of us to do, because once you're in the lab, you are obviously supervised and you have lab demonstrators there to help and support, answer any questions, and obviously show you a few things, but you are very much trying to learn on the job, not on the job, but you're trying to learn as you go as well. It's all new, so you're learning something new and you're managing to kind of master that skill. A lot of them would also be repetitive things you do. So you do maybe the same experiment a couple times in the same week or across a few weeks, and that could be assessed through your lab books. So we all kept lab books, records of what would the learning outcomes be, what are we using, and why are we doing this, and any questions we need to answer in them. And then at the end of the semester, we would give those lab books to be marked. So that's one of the fundamentals of being a scientist, especially in the lab, is keeping a good record of everything you have done, just so that you maintain the integrity of your work and it is just yours. So I found labs were quite fun as well. So you'd be your classmates, obviously some of them would goof around, you'd have a laugh, but it was a good experience because you're also learning to work with other people as well. So that's one of the most fundamental points in, anywhere you go, is working with other people.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Eve. And then sort of as you progress throughout those years, of course, you'll get to spend more time in labs, and you can really start to specialise and hone in on your skills and build your studies around the areas that interest you most. So some of the optional modules we have available throughout your level 3 and 4 can really help you specialise in your more preferred areas, be it plant sciences or genetics. So there are so many modules for you to look at, and I would really recommend going on the website and checking those out as well. And then finally in level 4, so your final year, that's what we would call your honours year. And through this year, you'll spend one semester completing an honours project, which is a lab-based project overseen by some of our world-leading staff. So Eve, what did you do for your honours project?
So in my 4th year, I was doing a literature review with data analysis, and my supervisor was Professor Christopher Barrett, based in the School of Medicine, and he's a world-recognized andrologist scientist. So he does a lot of work with male reproductive health and infertility research. So it was amazing working with him. Whilst it wasn't a lab-based project, which is something I did want to do, I'm quite happy and grateful that I was doing a literature review, because it was a topic that was not actually really talked about. No papers looked at it, which was funding for a specific kind of research area. So male reproductive health and infertility. So that was quite good. We got a lot of support from the actual module lead of the research projects and the program leads. So every week we would either have a academic skills session or a drop-in advice session. So the academic skills would be run by the program leads of biomedical and biological sciences, and they would give us the rundown of, so how do we write a thesis in general? How do we write an introduction, a methodology, literature review, how to write a meta-analysis report, things that, whilst we were taught over time, is a bit different when we have to write a dissertation, a full report of what we've been doing and what would be expected. And then the other weeks we would do drop-in sessions where we had different staff from the entire life sciences teaching department. So we had our statisticians, we have our lab experts, we had everyone from the school, so that we can go and ask related to our projects. So if we were doing a science communication project, which is a type of research where you're working on a specific proposal and topic, and how you would do to translate it to the general public. So science communication is quite important, especially nowadays, with everything being sometimes misinformed or misconstrued in science. So really good. So we'd had staff going into the session for those who have questions related to their projects doing science communication. We have those who are doing lab-based projects, go to them. Data analysis or how to analyze our data, we'd go to our statistician, and so on. So it was quite good. We were always getting supported, even during the time it was the pandemic. We had a lot of things that we still couldn't go face-to-face to classes. Everything was online, and ultimately when we had the second lockdown, everything was online to finish our writing up. But again, very supportive. Towards the end of your project time, you do a poster and you do a viva. So a viva is a kind of presentation, a mini presentation, about 5 minutes of your time, where you're essentially going to talk about, describe, and why it's important for your project to be carried out and main findings. And then you get asked by staff from either School of Life Sciences or School of Medicine, because there's quite a lot of collaboration between these two. So you get asked, and then the poster is a general, typical sciencey thing where you do a poster on the project you're doing, main findings, why it's important, and making it as concise and visually appealing and as effective as possible. Obviously, we would have done this face-to-face. It was not for the pandemic, and face-to-face we would have us with our printed poster standing answering questions regarding our projects, and then there would be mini competitions, who had the best presentation, who had the best talk, everything like that. And there'd be competitive talks as well, but we did it online, so we just gave our posters. But they are brought back now. This year, I believe, was the first time in a year that we've done face-to-face on our symposiums for life sciences. So yeah.
That's great. And I think you can really sort of see how you sort of build up those skills to go on and be a scientist after uni as well. So that's really nice to hear. A bit more about the specialisms that we offer as well. So under the biological sciences pathway, we offer molecular genetics, plant sciences, biochemistry, biological chemistry and drug discovery, microbiology, and molecular biology. And then under biomedical, we offer neuroscience, pharmacology, and physiological sciences. So there's a lot of different specialisms there as well. And another fantastic thing that we offer is a joint degree with the National University of Singapore. So in this sort of same sort of degree, you would come out with a BSc, Bachelor of Science with honours. But for your first 5 semesters, you spend those in Dundee, studying at the University of Dundee. And for your final 3 semesters, you spend that in Singapore, studying with our partners. And then you come out with a joint award with both universities on your graduation certificate. So that's another fantastic thing, that another degree that we offer that's fantastic. If you have an interest in studying abroad as well, could be fantastic for you. Just to speak about the postgraduate courses as well. So at Life Sciences Postgrad, we offer a 12-month Master of Science, either by taught or by research. So taught MScs you can also combine with a business pathway, such as entrepreneurship or marketing. And our Master of Science by research includes lots of different areas of topic. So artificial intelligence, drug discovery, computational biology, there's a whole host of different specialisms as well. So if you are interested in studying a postgraduate life sciences degree, there will definitely be something for you at Dundee. And another thing about those Masters by Research, after completing 9 months of that, you can then upgrade it to a PhD program and use your Masters as the first year of a doctorate as well. So I spoke about the links with the National University of Singapore. We also have links with other universities, and you can go on to study abroad as part of your time at Dundee, whether that be for a semester or a full year. We have partners across the world, in Malaysia, Canada, the United States, and across Europe as well. So you can build up another thing to add to your CV, studying abroad and studying at a different institution. Likewise, we offer lots and lots of internship opportunities. So when studying a degree such as life sciences, industry experience is invaluable. And there's numerous opportunities to get involved with internships at Dundee. So Eve, did you get involved in any internships or summer programs and things during your time at life sciences?
No, I have not, but I do know quite a few that have. So life sciences, they would do kind of a summer vacation research project. So those would be usually offered to, I believe, students who are going into their second years or in their third years or towards their fourth years. So we have to be in the middle, not first years, I think. So those who've just between those who are finishing their second year to finishing their third year. So those 2 years of the summers, you have to apply for it, and it's quite competitive because you do get a bursary as well. So about £250 a month was the thing. So it would be a month and a half long project that you would be doing in the School of Life Sciences research department. So we have 2 life sciences. We have the teaching and learning, and we have the actual research facility. So it's a 4-building complex with over 80 laboratories, over 900 researchers based there. So a lot of work being done currently as we speak. So as a student, that would be really good opportunity to do, especially if you want to be a scientist, or not want to be a science, more you want to be in a lab setting, and if you want a PhD, if you want to stay in research or even go to academia in that kind of side of sciences. So it'd be really good to get to learn all different things. I presume you would either be given a project that you'll be assigned to, or you have some form of decision making. So maybe you decide who you want it to be with within life sciences. There'll be a few options that you can choose from, and then you get to work on a project, and it's really good. And a lot of the time, students that have really good experiences with them and the supervisors they work with get to have a closer bond that could benefit them in the future. It's really important to have good relationships with your supervisors or staff that you're working with within life sciences, medicine, anywhere, simply because it can help you quite in the long run, and just general speaking. But yeah, so that's one of the few things. But within life sciences, we also, I believe, have a 5-year degree. So it's a sandwich year, and some students choose, and I know a few classmates of mine have taken a year out in the middle of their course to work in industry, whether it's in the UK, in Europe, it doesn't matter, it's where it would be. And that's part of their degree. Life sciences would help them with that. So that would be your internship year. You work in an industry for 1 year long, and that could help you decide if you want to stay there in that type of industry, if you want to change a bit. So again, really good opportunity for those who want to keep an open mind, and you would graduate maybe not with the same, you won't graduate with the same year you've enrolled, so you'll be with different students, but it's still quite good and definitely worth applying for if that's something you're really interested in.
Yeah, that's great, Eve. And yeah, the year with industry, that's a fantastic route that I'd totally forgotten to mention. So thank you so much. And the industry links that Dundee has with local organisations and global organisations as well can really help you build up your experience as a life scientist and help you progress onto your future career. And sort of testament to that, how great our School of Life Sciences is, we are currently 44th in the world for pharmacology and pharmacy, and that was QS. So that's a new ranking for us, but really fantastic to see that the School of Life Sciences has been recognised for its fantastic work. So we're 6th in the UK for biological and 4th in the UK for biomedical as well, which is really fantastic. So if you did choose to come and study at Dundee with us, particularly in life sciences, you'll be getting a fantastic degree with world-class teachers as well. So it really is great. I've got a couple of sort of FAQs, so questions that we get asked a lot, and I'm going to ask Eve, I'm going to put Eve on the spot. So how would you say Dundee was at welcoming you as an international student? Did you find that it was sort of set up for international students and easy to fit in and assimilate in that way?
Yes, so I did find Dundee was really good in welcoming international students, and set up in a way to have those in mind, because it is quite daunting and scary to leave your home, wherever, how close or far you are, and then just moving somewhere completely different. So we have the Inquiry Centre. They're wonderful in welcoming new students every year, really sweet, and there to support you. In terms of, in general, the actual community demographic of Dundee, it's quite international as well. So you get to see people, which is always welcoming, seeing people from different cultures and different nationalities. Again, very important. Dundee is quite diverse in that. I also believe, in particularly this year, it will be amazing for international students, because obviously with a few COVID restrictions being loosened, it's a lot easier to get to the UK than it was for the past 2 years. And as well as our student union, so our student union president, Ash Matembwa, is our first female Black president of the student union, which is great. And we have all sabbatical officers are all people of color as well, so that's amazing as well, just to see the diversity in our actual diverse universities. Amazing. But yeah, Dundee is quite welcoming and open. We have societies like the International Society, African Caribbean Society, Nigerian, Ghanaian. We have the not Chinese society, we have a lot of different South Asian societies as well. So society is part of different cultures or nationalities and regions as well. So really good or safe community as well.
That's great. Yeah, and so many support facilities at Dundee. You've mentioned lots of them, Eve, which is really helpful. Thank you. And we've got a question from YouTube, which is, what progression is available after completing an undergraduate degree in biomedical science, pharmacology, or neuroscience? So that's a great question. One of the options I'll speak about, which Eve can attest to, is continuing on to postgraduate study to sort of study something more specialised. Eve, do you want to speak a bit about your postgraduate study in the School of Medicine?
Yeah, I'll talk about that a bit, but before that, so in general, the progression available after completing an undergraduate degree in biomedical science or in biological sciences really depends on the person what they want to do. So if you want to stay in education, you can always go into doing a master's, whether it's within the same field, so School of Life Sciences Masters, School of Medicine Masters, or if you want to do something a bit more research based, so we have the Masters Integrated with Life Sciences or Masters by Research. If you want to do a PhD, Masters Integrated is very good because it kind of prepares you for that. It's like your first mini PhD year. So that's really good. Some students do just go straight from their undergraduate to a PhD, which is a bit scary for me, but it is something available. Others decide they want to be teachers. Teachers are very important anywhere. So we do have as well teaching courses at Dundee. So some students, I know a female who's a year above me, she did biomedical sciences and physiology. After she graduated 1 year, she was working somewhere, and then a year after that, she came back to Dundee to do her teaching degree. So again, you have these options, and with your background in biomedical sciences, you can become a teacher. Others, frequently, students choose to go into medicine after doing life sciences, medicine, dentistry, very big courses. So, and it's quite useful and important, I believe, to do a degree before medicine, in my opinion, because you get to actually understand why a lot of things are happening at a cell level, why it's affecting the entire body, at a systems level as well. So it's very important to have that background knowledge, which sometimes may be missed in medicine in general. So doing a degree before medicine is really important, as well as it helps with your transferable skills. If you've already been in education, so you know what you're expected, making your time within medicine actually a bit easier. And it is very often to see students that have done a degree before and then go into doing medicine. So it's not anything uncommon. So those are one of the few ones. And you have people doing something completely different to what they studied. And again, that's completely fine, but you do learn transferable skills that are very important. So teamwork, communicating, actually being with people, your time management, your work ethic, you learn that as a student, regardless of what you study. In terms of my particular pathway, so I wanted to do clinical embryology. I want to do that as a career, but it's quite a specialized area that a general undergraduate does not offer. You do take modules within that field, within that topic, but it's very, very specialized. So I've done a master's, which Dundee offered human clinical embryology and assisted conception. So we do lab modules. So you do lab techniques involved in a fertility clinic, as well as in research fields. I would go into actual clinics and shadow the clinicians, the nurses, as part of my clinical case. So I built up a clinical case of a patient I was assigned to see all of their steps throughout their fertility progress and treatment. So their treatment within the assisted conception unit, which was really good because it opens up your eyes into the area outside of the lab environment. So there is the human side. You do get to speak to patients. It's not just looking at the cells and getting the job done. You have to consider everyone involved within that department, which is really good. And then obviously you get taught a lot of the theory, you get taught a lot of the research based on why this is happening, how does it start. So infertility is something that affects a lot of people, and they may not realize it, as well as reproductive disorders that may affect infertility or cause infertility. So again, there's a very well-rounded course, so really important for me. And in my third semester, so my summer semester, I would do a research project at the site that I've chosen at the start of the year and work with my supervisor. It was a lab-based one, so I used to work with a lot of samples provided by donors and just do my research in there. And now I've done my poster, I've done my presentation for the poster, and just going now into the adult world, the industry. But yeah, there's a lot of options with biomedical sciences, and if you're not a lab person, there's always something else different. So yeah.
That's so fantastic. I'm really interested, Eve, to see how your career is progressing as well. And I think you mentioning the transferable skills is so important. So if you have completed your degree and you maybe decide that you don't want to work in a lab environment, or you don't want to continue with education or specialize in anything like that, then the skills that you will gain just by completing a degree at Dundee will be huge and will help you go on to progress to whatever you wish to do in the future. So many options available for biomedical and biological sciences students. It really is a fantastic degree, and I think such an exciting thing to be involved in as well. Just hearing you talk about the work that you're doing, Eve, it's really interesting and so exciting. So I hope that answers your question. There is lots of progression available after completing an undergraduate degree in these areas. Really interesting work as well. So please keep questions coming in. If you have any more, pop them in the chat box and we'll get around to answering those as well. A couple more FAQs I have for Eve. So how did you find the progression from undergraduate to postgraduate study? Did you find that quite a difficult transition?
I'm not too sure, actually. I've still not made my mind on that. So in terms of me going from undergraduate to postgraduate, that really depends per person. I'm quite fortunate my undergraduate and postgraduate was in the same university, so I didn't have to move countries or cities. So I knew all of the workings of the university, which made it a lot easier, but I know for some others it may be a bit harder because it is the whole moving process and getting yourself adapted to. But in general, I would say it's quite good, I suppose, because you are not just, well, one interesting thing with a postgraduate is you are expected to have done your undergraduate, in the sense of this is now where it's a higher level when you start at a university, postgraduate level, I mean. So it's a lot more intense, it will be a bit harder, and there's a lot of higher expectations of what you are expected to do. So there's not a lot of hand holding, spoon feeding you information. You're expected to do a lot of things without being told to, which is something you did as an undergraduate student, but it's a lot more prominent as a master's. And that's not to say there's no support there. So if you have questions, if you're worried, if you're not sure of something, or you're falling back behind, there's a lot of support that is made available to help those, whether it's your actual supervisors, your advisor of studies, the teaching team, the administration of the course, or just the university in general. There's a lot of support. So if you are struggling, do contact them, do let them know. Don't leave it to the last minute. That's the worst thing you can do. But in general, there is a higher expectation level of achieving certain things. There is a standard, and that is primarily just because you're not an undergraduate anymore, you are a postgraduate. So you can't be slacking off on things that are not meant to. So it's a bit of that. But in general, it's quite fine.
Yeah, brilliant. So that's really interesting as well. Lots of people who might be joining us for a postgraduate degree have studied their undergraduate degree abroad as well. So we understand that could be a scary transition coming in as an international student. So as Eve has mentioned, all the support that is available to you, there will be lots of it in terms of academic skills writing. We have student counselling service, student finance service, and people that can help with accommodation. There is a whole lot of things on offer to help support you through that degree. And then we have another question. Can you explain the Scottish degree system compared to the English? Yes. So in Scotland, we do things a little bit differently. We're a bit of a strange place. Our degrees at undergraduate tend to be 4 years rather than the 3 years that you would study in England. So in England, you may complete a Bachelor of Science, whereas in Scotland, you will complete a Bachelor of Science with honours. So that extra year is why we call that your honours year. It just adds another little title onto your degree. In Scotland, we believe that offers you a bit more flexibility. So you can decide to sort of change your degree specialism up until the end of your second year on most courses. With some courses, it might be slightly different and you can specialise later on. But we think that allows you a bit more flexibility. It allows you to explore your studies and different areas and find out what you're really interested in those first 2 years, and then go on to specialize for your third and fourth year. So that hopefully that explains why it's a little bit different. It is different. I know it can be a little bit strange and tricky to get your head around, but essentially undergraduate is just that extra year. At postgraduate level, there is not any difference, I would say. So typically it tends to be that year of postgraduate study, depending on the field that you're interested in and studying. So I'll link that back to Eve as well. Did you at any point throughout your undergraduate studies considering changing your specialism from biomedical to anything else?
No, so I was always interested in biology, so biomedical was actually quite good. I do know a lot of people that have changed. So I had a flatmate that he had started with biological sciences, I think, or biomedical. So first 2 years it actually doesn't matter. You're doing the same thing anyway. It's your third year you decide your actual specialization and what you will graduate with as a title. But in the first year, he kind of decided that biology wasn't his really thing. But he enjoyed psychology a lot more because he did an optional module in first year with psychology. So he said, I'll go with psychology. And the time he did change was an awkward period. So he had missed quite a lot. So he was able to change. But then in the following semester, like in autumn, when the academic year began again, he would have to repeat the first year of psychology. But that's fine because you're in your first 2 years anyway. And again, it's really good to build up that general knowledge foundation, because if you miss that crucial first 2 years, it can be quite hard to get into your third and fourth year. So I don't know what he's doing now. I've had actually a friend that started with medicine and then she changed into geography in her first year. So very different courses, very different schools as well. So, and with Dundee, what's interesting is that if you're within the same school, it's a lot easier to change because you're taught the same stuff in your first 2 years and it makes it all easier. So again, you're doing from biomedical sciences to biological sciences in your third year, it's not that massive of an issue. You just need to catch up with a few modules. But if you're changing from biological sciences to, let's say, law, again, the background knowledge is a bit different. Same as geography with medicine. So, but students, let's say, who are studying psychology decide, I want to do philosophy instead, they don't need to repeat a year or anything like that. So it's a lot easier for them to do that. But it's good, as Kirsty mentioned, gives a lot of flexibility and it removes the whole burden and stigma of you have to have everything decided by the ages of 17, 16, 18. That is like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm gonna mess up. And it's fine because the university is actually the time where you get to decide what you really, really want to. Whether it's your last year of uni or your first year of uni, that doesn't matter. But it's really good. And Dundee was really helpful and supportive of that. It will just let you do your thing.
Yeah, thank you, Eve. That's great. So I hope that's answered your question, just to sort of the comparison between the Scottish and English. It does essentially is just that extra year that we think gives you a little bit more flexibility. So I hope that has answered your questions. I think we'll be wrapping up shortly. So if you do have any last minute questions, fire those in just now. Alternatively, my contact details are on screen right now. So feel free to get in touch via email if you have a more specific question. For example, that question that's just come in, if you have a specific degree in mind and you're looking to know the comparisons between the Scottish and English equivalent, please do get in touch via email. If you are looking to join us at Dundee as well, we do still have spaces for January 2023. And then we'll be looking at September 2023 for our next undergraduate intake. So please do get in touch with SI UK, our colleagues there as well. They're fantastic and they'll be able to help you throughout an application and things like that, which is fantastic. They're really good. And of course, please do get in touch with myself if you have more specific Dundee questions. Just to wrap up, I'm going to ask Eve probably a question she's heard from so many people and is dreading. What do you plan to do now, Eve, now that you've finished your postgraduate studies?
Apply for jobs and
Yeah.
try to get them. Got an interview soon, so fingers
Fantastic.
crossed for myself. But yeah, just apply for jobs within the clinical embryology field, labs, stuff like that. But
Fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get it. Good luck.
thank you.
So thank you so much to Eve for joining us today. I hope she's been able to give you a great student perspective. I know she has, and allowed you to see sort of an insight into life sciences and what it's like as a student. And I hope you've enjoyed joining us today just to learn a little bit more about Dundee in general. Oh, we do have one last question. With the university or with the sandwich year, how does the university support students hoping to work in industry in another country? I might pass this on to Eve, who you've known people who have studied this sandwich year. Do you?
Yes, so I don't know exactly how. So obviously the university does support you, so it's part of the program, the course you're applying for. So either when you're applying to university in general, so that will be the one you choose. So let's say instead of biological, I want to do biomedical, so it's one of those options. Or within your normal, if you decide by halfway through your first year or the start of your second year that I want to do a sandwich year, that is the time to contact the teaching department and let them know and see what they can do for you. So in general, you would need to apply for the industry there are options for. So we have a lot in Scotland, England, and also in Europe. So AstraZeneca would be one of, I know a person that worked with AstraZeneca for an entire year. So AstraZeneca, you may know of them as the vaccine developers and massive pharmaceutical industry. So a lot of students tend to go into the pharmaceutical side of things, but there are also other options in molecular genetics, biochemistry. Doesn't really matter, again, it's within the same kind of area. But yes, so you would apply to them. The university in general has also career support, so helping with interviews, how to answer interviews. So I've recently contacted them as well. So you would go through a practice interview setting, how to answer questions, how to present yourself, look at your CV. They'd look at your CV, everything like, so the university would be the ones really doing the whole vetting process of choosing applicants who are qualified to do it. In terms of visas, I'm not too sure. I can't really answer that, but I presume and assume that you would need a visa specifically for that, because you have your visa to study in the UK. You haven't going to need a new visa if you're studying in Europe. If you're doing your industry year in the UK, it'll be a bit easier, but you may need to extend it and change it because generally visas are applied for 4 years. Again, if you apply for this specific course beforehand, that is a designated 5-year course, so your visa will be reflective of that, and that would be in your confirmation of acceptance of studies. So bear that in mind if you do want to do that. But it's quite good. So I can imagine they help you with a bit of finding accommodation and then how you get yourself a bit settled, because those companies are aware that you are a student coming there to work with them for an entire year, or like about the academic year. So they would be there to support you, and you do earn money. So it's not just going away, you are making some money out of it as well. So it's a good incentive as well to apply for. But hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does. Thanks, Eve. And it's good to know that you would be supported if you did hope to do that year in industry in another country. And I think another thing is just speak to your academic staff when you're here. And I would say life sciences in particular has quite an international staff base. So if you were hoping to study in a country that maybe one of those lecturers is from or has worked in themselves, then they'll definitely be able to support you too. So I would say, yeah, definitely you're in industry abroad. It's very exciting, but you would get lots of support there as well. So thank you so much again for joining us today, and a huge thank you to Eve. I've asked her some tricky questions today and she's been brilliant. So thank you all so much. We're going to end the session here, but please do get in touch with us if you have any other questions. Thank you so much. Bye.